What's the most important thing that you need to do to get your home sold for the highest price? Well, I'm going to cover with you in this video the top 3 things. And before we do that, you really want to talk about an overriding principle, and that is that ultimately what we're really trying to do is just get the largest amount of buyers attracted to that particular property. And so with that in mind, everything we do with the other 3 things, we might be increasing or decreasing that pool of buyers. Okay, and so I'll go ahead and tell you what the 3 things are, and then we'll come back and dive a little more into each one. So I'll try to simplify it and give you an acronym to remember, and I use CAP, C-A-P. The C stands for condition. The A stands for access. And the P, the most important one, is really pricing. And so as we look at those 3 factors being the most important thing to sell your home at the highest price, we'll start with C, condition. And this shouldn't be a shocker. If you've done any amount of research on real estate, you'll hear curb appeal, for example, right? That you should have good curb appeal to get people inside the property. Regardless of what you're going to do, we're looking to, okay, we want that condition to appeal to the largest amount of buyers. So what should we do? Everything, it includes everything from staging. And staging can be very basic. It can be decluttering, cleaning, and depersonalizing the space. For why? To appeal to that largest segment of buyers. And so the condition is important for a few reasons, in that curb appeal, getting people to get inside the house, but also getting it in good condition for professional photography. The majority of people first look at a house online before anything else. And so it's important, if you want to get people to the curb to get inside, you've got to have good photographs. And that means you've got to have a clean, decluttered, in good shape condition property. Now, as you start making decisions about the condition, maybe you think, oh, well, I should put in a brand new kitchen. And I hear kitchens sell houses. Well, that might be true, and that might appeal to a wider pool of buyers, and you may not get your money back for a complete kitchen remodel. And so something definitely to talk to a trusted real estate agent about, but definitely some things like maybe new paint or clean paint, cleaning, definitely. You can get a good return on that investment. Sometimes flooring, depending on the type of flooring, would be a good investment to make, but maybe that's just not in the budget. If nothing else, hire a professional cleaner, get a deep clean, declutter, start packing up. Remember that you're about to move out of the property. And if you're that set on moving out, it makes it a little easier to depersonalize, right? Because when we're living in the property, we want our things around us. But when we get clear on the goal is to appeal to the highest amount of buyers and realize that your stuff appeals to you, but maybe not to the general public, it makes it a little easier to start depersonalizing. Now let's talk about access. And so access is, what I mean by that is just how easy is it to show the house? Now, whether you're a for sale by owner or you're already working with an agent, either way, how are you going to get people into the property? And the reason I figured out that this was important is just by working with buyers, right? If I was out and actively showing buyers and then I ran across a house they really wanted to look at, but then it was hard to get the owners to let us in, guess what? The buyers end up moving on. And so in my experience, what I try to tell my sellers is, hey, let's go for it, no more than 2 hours notice if we need some notice. But really, we can use a showing service that they can request it, and we can either deny or allow it, right? So I prefer no time limit at all, but just make it by appointment only. Now, if it's your home's vacant, that makes it easy to show. If you're for sale by owner and you have to be home to show that house, guess what? You're kind of limiting the access to where if you're, which might be fine, but you got to recognize that you're limiting the amount of buyers, right? And so there's a lot of things that we use as an agent. Secure lock boxes is one thing I use. I also use a showing service that's available pretty much 24/7 to accept appointments. And so that becomes really helpful to increase access and thus increasing that pool of buyers. All right, and so the last one we'll talk about is the P. So we got condition for C, access for A, P is for pricing. And so what I do when I'm looking at pricing a property to sell is I'm going to look at a few different things. All right, the first thing I'm going to look at is I'm going to research the data within my system to find out what are the sold or the closed properties. Right, and so depending on what area of the country you're at, your agent might know them by sold or might know them by closed, but they're the same thing. That means that we have the data to know what someone paid for a property that's in similar condition. And so what I'm looking for is about 3 to 5 that are as close to my subject property as possible. Now, the main reason I'm doing that is because most people are going to get financing when they buy a new home. And so, although I'm not an appraiser, I know that the appraisers are going to be looking at past properties that have been sold. So, I'm going to start there as well and consult my seller on what's happening in the market today. And so, by looking at the close, that's going to tell us what a property may appraise for. Right? And if we're too much higher than that, then we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. The next thing I'm going to look at is, so now I have kind of a number or a range usually, right? I have a range of what properties have sold like for in the past. And then I'm going to go and use the properties that are actively on the market now, or maybe they're listed as coming soon. And depending on your area of the country, those might be called something different, but they are currently looking for buyers. And so within those, I'm just going to know that that's our competition, right? That's who we're competing against. And we want to be careful if we're very similar to another property that's on the market and we come in higher than them, then we may just end up helping them sell that property instead of selling our property. And that's the last thing that we want to do, is just help someone else sell their property, right? Help the competition sell their property. So I'm going to be looking at those coming soon and those actives and making sure that we're competitive, right? Maybe ours has something a little bit better and that justifies us being at the same price or a little bit higher. But I want to be able to justify that if that's the case. The third thing in pricing that I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at sales that are pending. And there's some other statuses in my area that are similar to that. So I'll look at all of those that are pending. But essentially what I'm looking for is these are the properties that got an offer, right? And so if the property got an offer at that price, I don't know if it sold for less, it sold for more, but I know it was at least priced in a range to get interest and get an offer. And so with those three things, those three sets of data, I'll work with my seller and what they're trying to accomplish, because I want to get them the most money they can get for their property with the least amount of hassle, right? And so using that, we'll come up with a pricing strategy using all those criteria. So hopefully you found this video helpful. Remember, the three things are CAP. It's that simple, and it's all around trying to appeal to the widest buyer pool. And maybe we'll do videos later on the going into more detail on some of those things, but it's a great place to start. If you need help with real estate needs, aren't in my area, I might be able to help you by connecting you with an agent in your area. I'll put a link down in the notes on ways that you can contact us. You're welcome to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, or you can make comments in the notes. We'll monitor those and try and get back to you. But best thing to do is click the link, contact us that way, and we'll help you however we can.